Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We're back. It's Friday and it's game week 26. The deadline is in a few hours' time. Coming up in today's show, we're going to be revealing our teams. We're talking about all the big press conference news, of which there is loads to get through. And so many of our regulars will be watching, thinking they've not had a press conference stream today because our good friend Holly Shan didn't stream. So we will bring you up to date with all the news. We'll talk about assistant managers, captains, our big dilemmas. We've all got them. And as always, I'm joined by regular co-hosts. First, all the way in San Diego at 7 a.m. this morning. Good morning, Dean Jones.
Yeah, 6 a.m, mate. Give me some credit. I'm up early. Here we go. All good, mate. All good over here. Thank you very much.
Love that. And all the way over in Pakistan at, I'm going to guess, 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 7:05
Big
p.m.
man,
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Hello, Dean. Hello, welcome to all the listeners and viewers.
Hello, mate. How's Friday gone? What have I got to look forward to today? Much?
Yeah, lots of press conference news, actually.
Yeah,
it's a great Friday, Dean. You're going to love it. It's the best
Friday.
Friday.
Love it. The day goes well, does it? That's good. That's good to know. Oh, look at Sigurd jumping on it early with the super chat. Love it. Thank you very much, mate. I asked many who I should bench: Isak, Wood, or Palmer. And everybody said Wood, but my gut feeling said Palmer. 10 minutes before deadline, I went with my gut. Sometimes you just have to. I've burned myself many times not doing it. Yeah, fair play. Like, I wanted to do that too. I wanted to do that too. I wanted to bench Palmer. And that's going to be, I think, a big talking point again this week. Palmer is still in my squad. I'm still unconvinced about it all. And I'm sure over the course of the next hour, we will digest it all and see whether we think Palmer is or is not a good pick.
I mean, Sigurd, thank you so much for your super chat. Usually when we get a super chat and we're in the middle of our introduction, we probably wouldn't show it. But because it's Sigurd, we definitely have to, because he's a proper good supporter of the channel. So, Sigurd, thanks for that. What I'd just say, headline on Palmer. Aston Villa, I think it's a good fixture for them. I think I'll get points from Rodgers and Watkins. I'm starting them both. But Villa have struggled when they've had big midweek games a few days later. We've seen it in the Champions League. We might see it this weekend. Like, they might be a bit heavy-legged. Let's see. Palmer's, and then, I would personally be starting Cole Palmer. Let's just leave it at that. Big man, what big decisions have you got today? I mean, we're going to talk assistant manager. We're going to talk transfers. But, I mean, let's do assistant manager slightly later, because I've seen a few commenting on YouTube channels being like, I've just had to sit through 20 minutes of assistant manager chat right at the top of the show and I'm not even using the chip. So for all those not using it, don't worry. We'll get to it in the last 20 minutes of the show.
Okay.
But yeah, big decisions for you. I guess you've got a few to make.
I do, actually. And I presume that a lot of people are in a similar position because a lot of us have used our free transfers on double game week players in some of the preceding weeks. And now we have limited free transfers at our disposal, but now it's coming to a time, especially for those not free hitting in 29, where we've sort of got to get rid of some of our Villa players, some of our Palace players, to a certain extent, some of our Newcastle players as well. And at the same time, we've probably got to use a transfer on the assistant manager as well. So now it's very tricky deciding which player to buy, which player to sell, and where to prioritize using the free transfers. I mean, for example, I have João Pedro and Eze as well. So there are plenty of flags and issues in my team to address. And I guess we'll speak about them later.
Should we start with some team news then? Like, because you just mentioned Eze.
Sure.
Big man, just bring us up to speed on Eze. And then Dean, run us through some of the sort of headlines in terms of team news affecting our FPL. Because there's a lot of press conferences that have just finished. And there's a lot of good snippets from the big man, Eze.
Yeah, so Glasner's basically said something along the lines of that he's trained well all week and he should be good to start. So, I mean, taking the word from the horse's mouth, I would expect him to play now at this point. And, I mean, it bodes well for Palace, actually. And it bodes well for a lot of people who are looking at Glasner, assistant manager this week, because Palace are a significantly better team with Eze in the team.
Yeah. Dean, on that same fixture, Silva has said Wilson, Nelson, Tete, they're out. But Sasha Lukic is fit and available. He's been a key cog. I mean, what's just your take on that Fulham Palace fixture in general? Because it feels like a coin toss.
Yeah, I mean, Lukic is one of Fulham's most important players. He kind of took over the Palhinha role. And really, I mean, him and Sander Berge between them have made sure that they've been able to transition away from Palhinha and not really feel much effect, which has been really impressive, actually. So if Lukic wasn't there, then it would be pretty harmful for Fulham. Very, very difficult one to judge overall as a fixture. There's really never a lot between these two teams. Most of the time when I go to this game, it's a draw. Like it's 1-1, it's 2-2.
I'd take a draw. I'd take a draw.
So yeah, there's not going to be a lot there. It's going to be really about those difference makers. So, you know, whether Eze is fit, whether Matete can make the difference for Palace, or on the other side of things, is it a Jimenez afternoon? Is it an Iwobi afternoon? Does Muniz come into it and score late on? It's really, really difficult to say. But if you're looking at the Glasner chip, as you say, we'll talk about that later on. But there's certainly reason to believe that, given the other fixtures this weekend, that it's probably the safest bet to get you maximum points that you can get in a difficult week with it.
Yeah, okay, nice. Okay. We'll get to more on that later because I think it's a fascinating chat on assistant manager. But yeah, good to know about Lukic and Eze for that fixture. When we look at the other sort of big press conference news, we've got to get to Gakpo and Haaland. We'll get to them in the next 5 minutes. So stay tuned on Gakpo and Haaland updates. Dean, there's been a few others, like Larson is back, which is good for Cunha. You'd have to say, like, a lot of looking at Cunha this week, and when Wolves are functioning well, they're a different beast. But also, Evan Nilsson's not far off, and a lot of looking at Dango this week. So that fixture of Bournemouth and Wolves is an interesting one.
I think it's a really good game, actually, that one. Bournemouth, you would expect to get the job done, but with Larson now back in the fold as well, Cunha obviously showing his magic feet again last week. You just can't rule them out of a fixture like this one. So yeah, Strand Larson back in the picture is key. I'm just seeing on the injury news that Emmanuel Agbadou is out for Wolves. I think that is
amazing,
mate. He has been one of the best signings of this.
Never heard of him.
I don't know a lot about his backstory, but I've watched him so closely since he actually has been playing for Wolves, and he ain't going to be at Wolves for very long. I know that much. Like, he's so good. So that is a massive plus point for Bournemouth that he's not playing, and actually that skews me much more towards believing that Bournemouth do get the job done here. So a lot of focus when you're looking at these games, obviously on the forwards, but the absence of him for me is going to be really, really key. So look out for that one and put more faith in your Bournemouth assets, which we've all got. We just don't know whether we've got the right one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Lottery each week. Big man, what do you make of Sashin's question here?
Wissam Cunha in for India and JP done. It's not actually a question. He's basically telling about his transfer Salah captain. Thank you for the super chat, Sachin. Yeah, I mean, good place to buy. I think Cunha is probably the best NDI / João Pedro replacement. So I think I would have done that. Wissa, I think good chances of immediate returns as well. Unfortunately, I don't think I can afford both in one go. But if I could, I probably would have done similar-ish. But yeah, Cunha is someone particularly I'm looking at in the weeks to come.
Yeah, Southampton in game week 29. We're all going to want Cunha then. Dean, Gakpo and Haaland. There's a lot riding on these two and their potential minutes. Gakpo because many own him. Yeah. But Haaland because if Haaland isn't playing, maybe Mamush becomes an even more interesting option. He's one of the most transferred in players already this game week, Mamush. But knowing he'll be the central striker, could add a lot to him. Although you'd argue him and Haaland pretty much plays the front two against Newcastle and they were awesome. But where do you read this? Because Arne Slot told us Gakpo was near a week ago and he didn't play either game in the double. Now he's telling us he's close again. And his press conference was Thursday, so we don't get to see any training. Well, we don't get to hear a Friday update from Slot.
Yeah. So what we know about Liverpool is that they really don't function as well without Cody Gakpo anymore. So we also have discovered that Slot is not a risk taker at all. He's not going to mess around with his team selection. He does not want to be in an Arsenal situation whereby he's suddenly hampered by not having some of his best assets available to him for the stretch that will lead them to the Premier League title. So he made the decision not to play Cody Gakpo in either of the games in the double game week. And that leads me to believe that Cody Gakpo at least plays a role in this fixture at the weekend. That update has come on Thursday. Like, he's got at least 2 full days here to have come into even better condition on the back of that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Cody Gakpo on the pitch. I don't know about whether he can start, obviously, because we haven't had any signs as to whether that is possible. If you were to look at Liverpool's team right now, then you'd say there's no doubt you would put him straight back in. Apart from Salah, Cody Gakpo is the best Liverpool attacker. Like, that's now proven, I'd say beyond doubt. So how does that help us in FPL? Well, it doesn't really. It's still a gamble because we've got to decide whether whatever those minutes are that Cody Gakpo gets on the pitch, what's the value of them compared to getting somebody that would be guaranteed a 90? And do we want Cody Gakpo anyway, moving forward, knowing they've got they've got Newcastle at home next, and then they've got Southampton coming up too. They've obviously got big Champions League and cup matches too to consider here with Cody Gakpo, and they want him for all of those games. But I think I'm going to keep him in my squad because I think that as this season now plays out, Cody Gakpo is going to be so influential to Liverpool being able to get the job done. Jota's not himself. Darwin Núñez is still rubbish. And there's nobody that can really come into this team and make the same impact that Cody Gakpo has shown that he is capable of. So I'm keeping him. I'm not going to sell him, but I've got to make a decision as to whether he makes my starting lineup. And as for Haaland, to be honest, I don't think there's too much decision to make here with him himself. I mean, he's like 27% owned. So obviously, if you are one of those owners, then you've got a bit of a dilemma as to whether you trust him to play. But out of that 27%, a lot of them probably aren't even playing the game anymore and just picked Haaland at the start of the season. So that's
absolutely
judge. And really, the question is like, it's not about buying Haaland. Like, nobody's buying Haaland for this week. Like, that's not worthwhile. But getting Mamush is the question. And at such a good price point, there's value to be had within that. Is this the right fixture to be bringing in a Man City asset? I would probably argue no. But given what's ahead for Man City, and knowing that Mamush will be in that team even when Haaland plays again, he's still a good buy. If you want to buy him this week, is to just try and be a bit different. Hope that if Man City are going to pull off an upset here, that Mamush is the guy that gets the goal, that he could make that difference for you. But Mamush is going to be playing pretty much every minute across the rest of this season for Manchester City. And whether you're wild carding or just making transfers in, he's going to be somebody on the radar. But I'd probably steer clear of it for this week, if I'm totally honest. There's not really much precedent this season for Man City turning up and winning these big games.
Yeah, I know. There really hasn't been. Big man, what's your take there on Mamush first? He is starting every game, but he does get some early subs.
Yeah, I think it's a comfortable case of wait and see before we go there in 29, if we do. But I have a more stronger take on Gakpo. I don't think we can, personally.
But I mean, fixtures
are the best this week.
No Gakpo this week, aren't you?
I think it's fairly clear. I mean, if you have someone at that price, you don't keep him. I mean, I have João Pedro 5.3 million, and I'm itching to get rid of him, but I don't exactly have the free transfers to do so. But if I had Gakpo at like 7 million, I wouldn't have given it any second thoughts at all, because he's already missed 2 games. There's a chance he misses the one next week, and then he's going to blank in 29 as well. So,
and the Southampton fixture, which is why we're all keeping him, is either side of the Champions League. Tuesday, Saturday. The Saturday Southampton, he'll probably miss it because he'll start in both Champions League games.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. So with so many concerns over his minutes, I think I would just sell, and I would get Cunha, who's cheaper than him, and he's at a very similar price point. So I think Cunha in for Gakpo is a very easy transfer to make for those who can afford to do it.
Mate, let me just show you the fixture ticker for 4 teams when we're looking Gakpo replacements. I want to show you the Brentford for Visser, the Palace for Mateta, the Wolves for Cunha, and the City for Mamush. Just compare those 4 teams, because if we're looking for mid-price forwards, they're the 4 we're looking at. Again, just for those looking, we're looking at Cunha, Mateta, Visser, Mamush. How do you rate this big man? Let me just ask you, for those that might be on free hit 29, I'm asking a selfish question here. It's something you know I'm considering still. If you're on free hit 29, is the best actually Mateta?
I think he could be. He could be. I mean, personally, I'm not considering him for the exact reason you mentioned, that I'm not preheating
No
at
one
29.
is.
But
No one can, because he plays in 29, doesn't play 29, yeah.
Exactly. But because you're on a different strategy, I think that those fixtures are really good. If you just don't consider 29, I think they're perfectly fine.
My problem is I'm not
but
committing to a
apart from
strategy
that,
yet, and I don't want to commit. And every week I get closer to needing to commit. And I'm thinking, can I just bench Gakpo this week and then commit in 27 and then either pick Cunha or Mateta or Mamush? But I mean, how do you let's rank these guys then? If we forget chip strategy, how do we rank those four? I'm going to say I rank Cunha at 1, Mateta at 2, Mamush at 3, Visser at 4. Dean?
I'm similar, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I'm similar.
I'd be tempted to put Mateta at 1, given the form. And I think those fixtures are very friendly for Crystal Palace. I know he's got a blank, but yeah, I think
the 28 and 30 fixtures are amazing, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
In Southampton,
I know
knowing
people
no one
panic.
else will own him because he's got a blank.
Yeah, people really panic when they see a blank, but it's like, well, you've got other. That's why you've got a bench. You can leave him out for a game and still have him back for Southampton. So I think Mateta for me really does jump out. Let me just check what. So I haven't seen what Ipswich's actual fixtures are, because Delap is somebody that people aren't really talking about anymore. But like, he's still going to be somebody. Tottenham, Man United, Palace. No, that's not great for Liam Delap, to be fair. But yeah, I think I'd go with Mateta out of those options personally. As I say,
we'll do a poll. For those
I'm not replacing Gakpo. Like, I kind of feel like it's madness to replace Gakpo.
Do you?
Yeah. Like, what if Gakpo is fit? Where's the logic in not having him? If he's fit, if you knew 100% now that he's fit,
that's the problem, though.
We don't.
And he's going to get 10 minutes off the bench and 1 point.
He's not going to get 10 minutes, is he? He's going to get more than that. Like, I've got enough faith.
Scott makes a lot of 60, 70 subs. So yeah, you're right. He'll get 20 to 30, but that's still 1 point.
Yeah, but it depends whether you're willing to look beyond that. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, me and you have just been burned by it because we've just got 0 points from him in a double game week. And you know, my instant reaction to that was I was annoyed and I just wanted to ditch him. But I'm looking at this longer term, and I'm kind of hoping everyone does jump off of Gakpo, because as I just said, he is their second best forward. And if Salah's not scoring, it's going to be Gakpo down the home straight.
Big man, Mateta versus Cunha.
Yeah, I mean, regarding
Dean's points, because I think Wolves has got going to Bournemouth's not easy, is it? Like, that's not a great entry point for Cunha. You'd argue Mateta has the edge for the fixtures. Take away game week 29.
I agree. Yeah. If you take away game week 29, I think Mateta's probably better. I would like to raise the point, though, that Dean was mentioning that in game week 29, you know, that's what you have a bench for. But at the same time, you've got to remember that a lot of people have the likes of Munoz, Eze, Isak, Lewis Hall, and Triple Liverpool, and Rodgers, and Watkins, those kind of people who they will be benching. So unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people will have the flexibility to bench someone like a Mateta if they buy him right now, especially those who are not free hitting at 29. So I think, yeah, Mateta's fine. Personally, I do expect Palace to do reasonably all right in the next few fixtures. The main appeal for Cunha is basically the Southampton fixture that you see in 29. I think that's the big carrot, because a lot of people are looking game week 29. They're probably viewing it as a low scoring game week, but that could be a fixture where, you know, Cunha makes hay.
Yep. No, I'm with you there. It's so tough. I'm giving myself, I think, a week. I don't know the answer to the best replacement, and I wonder if I can just make it in 27. Will I miss out on points in 26? Maybe. Dean, last question on this from me. Mateta, the sort of guy that causes Fulham problems, you think?
I mean, yeah. I don't
Like
think
Eze Mateta duo, the physical nature, the fact that it's usually, you expect both teams to score in this fixture, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, physically, I'm not concerned about Mateta at all. It's more about the movements that Palace have that open up. And actually, what I would see Mateta doing is kind of lurking and picking up either a loose ball, or I could almost picture it in my head now, him drifting towards the far post and getting a tap in or something, or a header at the far post. That's the thing actually that concerns me more about Mateta right now, other than his physicality, because Fulham can definitely cope with that. I mean, the other question I'd have, mate, is like, obviously, like in terms of chips and stuff at this stage, like the free hit chip is obviously one that a lot of people still have in their back pocket. What do you think will be the most common trend in terms of using that? Because we're starting to see these blank game weeks coming up now, and that's when the tendency will come in to use them.
Yeah, that template chip strategy is set. The world on their dog, big man, and I might follow this same template, by the way, is not to free hit in 29, but to wildcard in 30 or 31, bench boost in 33, and then now free hit in the blank game week of 34. But we don't know what that blank looks like. We might be able to cover that without a free hit. You could also free hit in the double in 36, but we don't know how big a double that will be. So I look at 29, and it depends how many players you have involved from those 4 teams that don't play in 29. But for me, they're 4 big teams. I've got 1 Crystal Palace player already. I've got triple Liverpool. I've got double Newcastle. Who's the other team? There's another team there that I'm hiding. Villa. I've got double Villa. So I've got 8 players. And I just can't get anywhere near a good 11 that week. So free hit might make sense to me, but it's also the beauty of not just what you get in that week. It's, can I therefore buy players like Mateta? I know Mateta for Ipswich and Southampton, when no one else will, because they'll be going, I need to make sure I have someone that plays in 29. So it's just being able to be creative around it. Managers are going to have to sell Liverpool and Newcastle assets because, as Big Man just said, you can only bench 3 players. So they're going to have to sell an Isak or a Salah. Well, again, they've got good fixtures either side. They can go big on any given day. So I think I've got to make a decision on it very soon. And I've been putting off every week. And I might just give myself 1 more game week. But it is a Tuesday deadline next week. So it's not a huge amount of thinking. But I just don't know the best replacement. And again, I want to watch Mamush again. I want to see Mamush and see, if he does really well against Liverpool, then 27 as an entry point is quite good. So, thank you guys for your comments in the chat on chip strategy and everything. There's 440 of you watching right now. You've all missed the fact there's not been many streams this afternoon. I would love you, for the first time today, I'm just going to ask you all if you fancy hitting that like button. It massively helps the algorithm. But also, if you want to hit that subscribe button, that'd be awesome too. So there's from the 440 watching, 129 of you are unsubscribed. It's about right.
Come on, people. Just help us get to 10K. That's all we want. If we can get to 10K by the end of this season, we'll be very happy, man. So come on, just the only time we'll ask it. But yeah, we're so close, so near yet so far. So let's see if we can actually make it over the line. That would be great for us.
Mate, the super chats are coming in as well. Move with Mike and John. What I might suggest is we'll start our Q&A at the end of the show with the super chats. So if you've asked a super chat, we will get there in the next 25 minutes. But just to keep us moving forward, because we've got lots to get through today, we're going to keep the questions coming in, and we'll do a good 5-10 minute Q&A at the end of the show. And again, with Big Man, and you want his thoughts, I'm sure.
Yeah, just a quick one. Mark in the comments was talking about Mamush after I said to him, like, he said that he'll play every game. Mark said, well, you can't guarantee that. I think I can. Why would Mamush not play every minute, pretty much, of Man City? Not every minute, but I start every game for Man City from here on out.
He had been at the club 48 hours. And he started versus Chelsea. That's how keen Pep was to get him in the 11.
There's no Champions League. There's no balancing act to be had here. So that they've got that. They've bought this player for the future. They need to start building their team now for next season. Like, he's not interested in some of the other players in this team anymore. Like, he's seen enough of the likes of Jack Grealish to know whether they can or can't do it, or whoever else might be in contention to be in that forward line.
He's absolutely. Yeah. I can't believe people are worried he's going to play part of Pep Roulette. Like, he's played every Premier League game so far.
Rotation Pep Roulette. Like, Mamush is not part of that. Like, no. Mamush is not part of any sort of rotation. If he gets a knock, obviously, then he comes into the thinking of that. But like, a fit Mamush is playing from here on out.
Dean,
Dean has a very
watched
Dean is
Pep
very
so
stubborn.
closely.
Someone has a horrific rank. Mamush isn't nailed. Okay.
Yeah.
500k isn't that bad, by the way.
Yeah, they've seen my rank. Well, I'm going to say the same thing. Mamush is now. The biggest tell for me, right? When Pep buys even a big money player, often it takes him a while to integrate him with the team, ordinarily. We've seen it in years gone by. Not with Haaland, and I remember with Akanji didn't, but the vast majority of attacking players he signs, he takes a while to bed them in. Savinho is another example more recently. Mamush had been at the club literally 48 hours. I think he had probably had one training session, and he was straight in the 11 for that Chelsea game. Like, he is I'd be surprised if he misses more than 1 or 2 starts between now and the end of the season in the Premier League.
Yeah,
obviously injury dependent.
Yeah.
But yeah, deadline's looming. We got loads to get through. Big man, welcome back. We are going to do a Q&A at the end of the show. We're going to do team reviews before that, but we need to talk about assistant manager. Okay. Big man, you're using the chip this week. You're on your 3rd and final week of assistant manager.
Correct.
You're a slot owner, right?
Correct. I do own slot. Yeah, that's right.
How'd you feel?
I feel all right. I mean, I think Unai Emery owners should feel very similar. I know you own Unai Emery, Gianni. So I think there's a chance that Aston Villa beat Chelsea, and I think there's a very similar chance of Liverpool beating Man City as well. I think those games are, ones where you could see those guys winning. So I don't think sort of selling assistant managers and buying a new one is a very high priority move to make. Although, having said that, if I had the luxury of an excessive free transfer, it's one I would probably do. So let's say, if I can find space for a spare free transfer, I think I'd probably move on slot from my team, especially because I'm looking to captain Salah. And it would be a nice way to hedge in that case.
Yeah.
I think that this is another thing which sort of, I need to take into consideration. I don't exactly want to go all out on Liverpool either, right? Unless I'm completely forced to. So this is another factor. But yeah, I mean, ideally, I'd probably get Arteta, just given the kind of manager I am. I generally like to play safe. I can see Arsenal winning 2-0 in that fixture. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but Arsenal probably win 1 or 2-0. But if, let's say, if I wasn't getting Arteta, I still think there's sort of value in going for, someone like Glasner or McKenna. I think out of all the table bonus fixtures, those are the two I would probably look to roll the dice on. I'm not exactly confident. I was much more confident in, let's say, Marco Silva versus Nottingham Forest last week. This week, I'm not confident at all. But yeah, it's probably the best out of a bad bunch.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Big man, I'm going to ask you, when you're not talking, just for the time being, mute, because I think there's some background music, which is absolutely, we're all here for a bit of musical stuff on a Friday, but just personally, it's not loud for me, but it might be for some in the chat. Party time, says Peter. I'm not quite sure about that. Anyway, I'm with you on that. And the bonus, let's just show a graphic that we showed a couple of days ago. I saw this from Focal's Twitter. If you're chasing bonus, these are the ones you can go for. Dean, you're not on the chip. I'm going Glasner. He's the only one I like of these 5. I don't hate the McKenna idea.
McKenna is the one I'd go for, I think.
It's McKenna and Glasner for me.
I'd gamble, man. Like, if this was me, if I'd have just had, 2 doubles on the assistant managers, got a decent points haul out of it, I'll be thinking, you know what? Time to gamble. Let's go for some big points on this one. And it's really not that unreasonable to imagine that Ipswich can cause some sort of upset against Tottenham, is it? So with that bonus available, I think that is where I would be going with it. Just for a bit of fun with it as well. It's probably been a little bit. Yeah, it's probably been quite stressful waiting for the expectation of those other assistant managers' points to come in, because the points were there to be had and almost like you were counting on them. But this week, it's really not the case. And most people probably will go with Glasner. So I think I would go against that if I was on it right now.
Big man, where are you going at the moment? If you were to put percentage chances on your choices?
I think either I'll keep Slot or I'll get Arteta. I don't think I'll get anyone else.
Yeah. And your Slot Arteta, you're 60% likely to keep Slot, 40% Arteta?
It's actually a coin toss. I I'm struggling to split it. I will discuss my team with you guys, and I will then ask you guys as to what transfers I should prioritize because I'm struggling with them at the moment.
Oh, come on, let's get to that now. Let's get to our teams. Then we'll do
Let's
against
go.
the obvious. Then Q&A. There's 467
Enough of the
of you
teasing.
watching.
Let's just jump in straight away.
Yeah, sweet. Let's see it. Yeah, thank you to all those watching. Really appreciate it. You're boosting the algorithm with all your comments and your likes. I can see a few of you are hitting that subscribe button as well. So really appreciate you supporting the channel. We stream, by the way, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. If you don't already know, I'm sort of the host of the channel, but we also have two amazing co-hosts. If you're not familiar, Dean Jones is a US now based journalist, former Fulham Academy player, but also a good FPL manager in his own right. But Dean adds a lot of value when we're talking about footballing matters, and anything that relates to team news is obviously highly valuable. We also have one of the world's best ever FPL managers. Big man once finished 4th in FPL. Yeah, 4th overall from millions of players. But also, big man, you talk a lot of sense. You've always got a good rank. And we're here for your opinion. So yeah, the reasons to subscribe, guys. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
I think this is the closest I've ever been to you, big man. This stage of the season, I'm 30 points behind you. And I'll tell you what, that is a feat for me to be on your coattails. So,
and you've got your assistant manager chip still, Dean.
I've still got that.
Big man's got 28 from his already.
Yeah, but it's like having games in hand, isn't it? This means nothing at this stage.
And you did spunky bench boost.
It's an annoying one because like I was thinking, I was like, look at that. I was like, oh well, the point difference kind of is the assistant manager chip. I'm like, well, I've still got that to play. It's like, yeah, but he's got the points in the bag. I haven't got them yet. I'm going to be counting on Eddie Howe to deliver me points, and that's not the most comfortable place in the world to be.
Big man, what money?
Here's my team.
How many transfers?
Well, I have 2 free transfers, and I have 1 million in the bank this week. Eze has now been declared fit to start. Initially, I was considering selling Eze for perhaps someone like a Dango, but now the news of Williamson has further sort of muddied the waters over there. I think I will probably sell Rodgers this week. If I was to make my transfers right now, I think I'd sell Rodgers. I'd probably get, a Bournemouth mid or an Arsenal mid. I'm currently not sure which one. I was leaning towards Dango before the team news came in, but now that's sort of put me in doubt. And the second transfer has to either be used on the assistant manager. If that happens, then I go from Slot to Arteta, or if not, then I will probably sell NDI for maybe Beto, I guess, because I don't think if I sell Rodgers, I don't think Cunha will be affordable. Cunha will only be affordable if I sell Eze. So yeah, that's a bit of a tricky situation. I guess I can do Eze to a Bournemouth or Arsenal mid and NDI to Cunha. That is doable.
I'd be keeping Eze now, man. In fact, he's trained all week.
It is tricky.
Those Palace fixtures, you can sell Eze in the blank in 29, but before the blank, they've got, is it Leicester in 28 or Southampton? They've got a really good fixture in 28. I would be prioritising a sale for Slot. Not going to lie, that'd be my first transfer, be Slot to Glasner. And Rodgers is good. Rodgers is good for Chelsea. Chelsea are really bad. I think Rodgers will cause Chelsea all sorts of problems. I think Chelsea will concede a couple to Villa at Villa Park.
The thing is, not having an Arsenal mid or not having a Bournemouth mid this week is extremely scary. And I went through that experience last week, kind of got away with it. Yeah. But I don't think I'm willing to risk it this week. I will definitely get a midfielder this week. I don't think I can sort of bring myself not to have any of those two. So I'll probably have one of those. But it depends on, it also depends on whether or not I decide to risk João Pedro because, part of me is like, I can just get Cunha next week if needed.
Yeah.
I don't think João Pedro will start personally. I mean, I'm in no doubt regarding his start. It's just that, it might not be the best move for my team this week. Because I don't exactly want to get by Beto in either, right? That's the issue.
No, I get it. It's a tough one you're faced with. I think, Rodgers and João Pedro are 3 on the chopping block and 1's going to go. But you got 2 frees. I would be using 1 on a manager. I just don't feel like Slot's there for it. I mean, he's fine, but...
You reckon City win? Even after the Madrid performance?
I keep going back to that Newcastle game. Don't know. 4-0 at home. I wondered if they'd turned a corner. I mean, Real Madrid's a different beast. I don't know. I don't love this. If I had Slot, I'd be going to Gazza. To be fair, I don't think I'd be going Slot to Arteta. If you're going to go Slot to Arteta, then maybe you're doing the right thing. It's just that 20
I
point
think the Slot
ceiling.
to Arteta is quite good, to be fair. I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we just talked about assistant manager a second ago, and we were like throwing up like the ones to pull up almost surprise results, but Arsenal is kind of the most guaranteed points. I mean,
The bookies would suggest so.
I just can't see anything from that West Ham team that's truly going to pull off a result against this Arsenal team, who have to win this game. Like, this is such a massive fixture to close in on Liverpool at the weekend, and they've got a big game, and potentially, like, actually, this title race could come to life in the next 2 game weeks if Liverpool don't do well. So, yeah, and Liverpool just with this safety net of like, let's not lose, whereas Arsenal like have to win. I think Slot to Arteta is quite nice.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I do think Arteta's the safe bet. It's just the point ceiling you get from that. You know, Slot and Arteta are managers that will get you, you know, some 7-8 pointers, fine. But last week of the chip, throw the dice at Glasner, I think. But yeah.
Would you go to Pep? Someone's just asked if we would go Slot to Pep. I mean, personally, I can't.
There's no bonus there. It has to be bonus, and there's not now.
There's no bonus, and there's no John Stones, and there might be no Haaland, and that's no. That's a no for me. Like, I can't trust Pep Guardiola's management in these big fixtures that he's had this season either. He keeps being owned by all the big clubs. He only beat Chelsea, but I don't know. You could debate whether or not Chelsea is still a big club, couldn't you, Joe? So we'll have to wait to see what Pep can do here. Like, he's under the microscope. Like, come on, you can't just buy players and deliver results. Sometimes you've got to coach them. And I want to see something special from Pep, but I'm definitely not trusting him with a chip like that.
Well, let's move on then.
See, this is it. We've sort of spoken about, you know, my team for 5 minutes, and it's just going to be a very, very open week. You can see, you know, there's no clear path.
No, there's not
options. Yeah. A lot of people will have, you know, different assistant managers. Others will have different captains. So this is going to be a week with, you know, a variety of variants, and I'm hoping that I can end up on the right side of it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good summary there, big man. You've nailed that. There is no obvious route for you, which again is really tricky. It's why you'll be deliberating right up to the deadline. Hello, let's go through. 2 more to get through, and we got against the obvious, and we got questions, and we got super chats, and there's 550 of you watching. Thank you so much. We don't often quote numbers as much anymore on this channel, but this is an appeal to consider hitting that subscribe button. And if I don't remind you, it doesn't.
An appeal. Like it.
Dean 442, classic.
Yeah, I mean, look at my bench: Gakpo and Palmer and Aina and Pickford. Like, I don't like this team at all this week. I'm actually not really looking forward to this one. A bit of a dilemma over Palmer.
Bench Rodgers, mate. I know I said he'll be good, but Palmer's better.
But is he, mate?
Sorry, not Rodgers.
Bench Dean. Bench Dean.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I was going to say, like, I'd
get rid of the back four, mate.
Not convinced about your argument there. But yeah, also, like, beyond that, like, Isak and Wood being involved in the same game annoys me a bit, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah, kind of want to take a gamble on Gakpo in case he plays because no one else is going to have him.
No in Slot, though. Do you reckon he starts?
I mean, like we talked about earlier, because of the risk factor, probably not a start, but yeah, I think he'll
and
play.
Diaz missed the game in the week because he knew Diaz had to start on Sunday.
Yeah. Obviously Diaz did well in the game before that. Pickford v Henderson for goalkeeper. I'll probably go with Pickford, but that's because Henderson's playing against Fulham, and I want him to concede goals.
Captaincy?
Probably gonna.
I thought you might back against Mo.
It's the safety again. It's the safety net, isn't it? I mean, everyone's going to go Salah this week.
I'm not.
I mean, he is the best player in the world at the moment. Like, in terms of like consistency, output, goals and assists, like Salah's one of the only players in the whole world that has been, reliable across an entire season. Like, and I mean that. Like, even if you obviously like Mamush has done it in Germany in the first half of the season. He's got a hat-trick recently, but still we don't know if he's going to do it consistently. Isak's been good, but not as good as Salah. Really difficult to see whether there's any... Yeah, is it worth going against Salah this week? I don't know. If I was to, I'd probably go Isak. That's probably my only temptation.
Okay, nice.
Why are you saying I'm definitely not? Why are you saying I'm definitely not benching Palmer? You don't know that.
I think I do. I think I do. All right.
I think I always put Palmer on the bench now
to the channel, and they're seeing you with Palmer on the bench. I'm trying to get some credibility back here.
I think I've done this for the last 3 weeks when we've recorded this show. I sent the screenshot with Palmer on the bench, I think.
Yeah. He's like your.
It's honestly, mate, because I'm going to talk about it later on in the show, but he's starting to wind me up.
Dean, are you looking at a transfer this week, or are you saving?
You don't need one, mate.
I think I'm going to save. Yeah, I think I'm going to save. I thought about it in the last couple of days over the Gakpo thing, but now that there's some hope there, as I say, I think I'm probably going to ride that storm and just leave it.
All right, let's get to my team. I've gone 4-4-2 as well, mate, with Gakpo on the bench because I want another week to think about who I replace Gakpo with. If I sell Gakpo, it's also a -4. I think I sell him in 27. I think he has to probably rot on my bench this week. I'll probably move him down the bench. I just don't know who the best replacement is, and it's going to be so based on my chip strategy. I think I want to bring in Mateta. If I do that, I'm committing to free hit 29, and I want another weekend to consider what I do with my free hit. But maybe I just need to make my bed and go Mateta now. And if I do that, I'd be probably benching Mykolenko. I think I'm going to start Lewis Hall. I know Mykolenko's got the better fixture, but I've got Pickford already, and I fancy sort of spreading that. And I actually fancy Newcastle to the point where I'm captaining Isak. I was really impressed with Fulham against Forest, and I just fancy Newcastle to put up similar shot numbers. Fulham are 24 shots, 20 inside the box. If Newcastle get 20 shots inside the box against Nottingham Forest, Isak's going big. So let's see. I'm definitely getting rid of Emery, and I'm definitely going Glasner. So that's my free transfer. I just don't know if I do a second transfer of Gakpo. Big man, do I get rid of Gakpo this week, or do I give myself a week?
I think I'd sell. I'd probably bench one of Munoz or Mykolenko in that case. Probably Munoz, I think. It's tough, actually. You could even bench Mykolenko since you already have Pickford.
It'd be for a hit.
I think I'd sell
Gakpo. You'd still sell him for a hit?
Why would it be a hit? Don't you have a free transfer? Oh, you're using around on the manager. Oh, I see. Yeah, and I think that then leave it as it is.
Yeah. I mean, I could keep Emery. I don't hate Emery as an option. I think Villa probably get something.
I think Aston Villa will win. Yeah,
mate. I don't know if you need to change that.
Yeah,
it's the bonus though. You can't get bonus with Emery. I'm all for the bonus with this chip.
I know. I mean, you've said that since day one, so I guess you've got to stick with it. But yeah,
I could get 20 points from Glasner. I could get 8 from Emery.
Do you think Palace are going to beat Fulham?
I think it'll be a draw, and that gets me 8 points too, but I've got a 25% chance of a win. That game is as 50-50 as you'll see over the Premier League this weekend for me. That's the hardest game to predict, which makes the assistant manager a bit of fun. Like, you're not actually backing against the obvious. You know, if you back Southampton to beat Brighton, you're backing against the obvious. With this is the only game in the round with bonus where it's a coin toss.
I think Ipswich Spurs are similar.
Yeah. Do you? I fancy Spurs with, I don't know, off the back of beating United, a bit of momentum, maybe. I don't know. Slightly fancy Spurs, but yeah, it's a close one too.
Interesting.
So
it's a little risky. I think it's a little risky.
Dean, I know your thoughts on Gakpo because you've got him. So, big man, your summary would be sell Gakpo or sell Emery?
I think sell Emery.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one.
Yeah, it's just that ceiling. 632. That is nuts. That might be our Friday record for some time. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Get voting in the poll. We're reading all your comments. Let's get to a bit of fun. We're going to do 60 seconds each on Against the Obvious. Nice. I love those shorter stings. Chris Wood, who said him?
I was the one who went for
Oh,
Chris
big man,
Wood.
start that
And
clock.
yeah, I mean, I guess this will be a very, very unpopular opinion, but that's the point of this section. I think he's done exceedingly well this week, exceeded all our expectations. I have even forgotten track of how many goals he has. But given the upcoming fixtures, Newcastle away, then Manchester City, then Arsenal, I don't think the time to buy Chris Wood is right now. I would even say that, if a lot of people are in this position where they have, a few free transfers to get rid of him, I think the time is right now. The best returns are behind him, and I think there are better options at his disposal. We've discussed Cunha. I think Cunha is going to outperform him next few weeks. If you are free hitting in 29, then I think even Mateta is better. So yeah, overall better options at his price. I think it's probably time to get rid.
Wow. I feel like I've been here before, and all season I've not owned Chris Wood, and it's been my biggest thing this year. Like it's really cost me. Yeah. Mad. Well, you've not owned
And
him
we
at all
didn't think it
either.
would be this bad at any point. Nope, not at any point. And he's absolutely
Mate, he's
single-handedly
scored.
he keeps on destroying my rank. He single-handedly keeps on destroying my rank every week.
It's the only reason I am on your coattail, probably, because I've got Chris Wood.
Callum says, can't listen to this, bought him for 6.1 million. He has scored with over 40% of his attempts on goal. That's nuts.
Yeah. Don't worry, Callum.
All right, next up.
If Chris Wood could, Chris Wood. What's the song? Something like that, isn't it? The guy that you sing that song. There's a good song. Go and look for it. The Chris Wood song is brilliant.
This must be
right.
Dean.
Of course, it's me. Look, selling Cole Palmer. If you were ever going to do it, then now wasn't the worst time. Okay, so we've obviously got the game, the double games coming up against Southampton and Leicester. That's the only reason, to be honest, to keep Cole Palmer at the moment, in hope that he delivers in those games. He's got a dip in form at the moment. His output has declined. In the past, well, he's got 12 points from his last 4 game weeks. His best haul across those was the deflected cross from Wan-Bissaka that ended up at the back of the net. The goal threat from Cole Palmer, no longer the same. Part of the reason for that is the structure of Chelsea and the way that they play. It's very inconsistent at the moment. They haven't got their best options up top that suit Cole Palmer. He's pretty reliable generally, and when he gets big point hauls, on having penalties as well, haven't had the possibility of those recently. I think overall, you've also got the situation here. He's highly owned. Get rid of him, creates new opportunity for you to go and get somebody who's actually going to hit form in the coming weeks.
Fair enough.
Your argument's right.
But yeah, remember, guys, we only pick popular players here, so we know, and often they're players we own. So just throwing that out there. It's a bit of fun. Let's go again. Let us know your unpopular opinions in the chat, by the way. I'm going Trossard, and I just know that let's start the clock. When Big Man, you said about Arsenal midfielders, like players like Wanieri and Trossard, I get it. Even Moreno, I hate that one even more. I know why, because it's a cheap route to the Arsenal attack. And usually when we get an Arsenal front 3 player, we spend a lot of money on Saka or Havertz, Odegaard, Martinelli, whatever. These guys are cheaper, and they're now getting starts. And we know they're good for starts for the next few weeks. But I question the firepower in that Arsenal team without Havertz, without Jesus, without Martinelli, and without Saka. It took them 80 minutes, 80 to score against Leicester. I know West Ham are rubbish, but it took them 80 to score against Leicester. They're worse. I'm not sure this is a banker fixture. I expect Arsenal to win 1-0, maybe 2. But this isn't a game, I don't think, where you're going to see 3, 4, 5 goals from Arsenal, because at the moment, they just don't have that, I don't think, in their locker. Arteta's grinding out boring 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins, whatever. And I just don't know if I love the upside. I much prefer the Bournemouth mids. Same price point. Cheaper. All right. Should we get some questions?
Let's get through the questions. That's what people are here for. They need help. We're going to help them.
Go on, Dean. Start us off. We'll go Dean, Big Man, me.
Oh, people don't ask me Trent questions. They know what I'm going to say. I start to out of Hoyson, Trent, and Munoz. Well, obviously, I am going to say you could pick Trent. So Trent and Hoyson. Yeah.
Good
go.
Next question, chasing big time, which is a favorite pair? Shard, Welbeck, Trossard, Beto, Tel, Cunha, Mitoma, Wissa, willing to captain a differential too. I think from the ones you mentioned, I would probably go with Trossard and Beto.
Okay.
And if
Yeah.
you're looking for a differential captain, I don't mind Trossard personally.
Currently on Burmo captain, I like that. I prefer Burmo to Wanieri. Rob T bookie odds are good, but you sometimes got to make your own decisions. I think Burmo's really nice alternative captain this week. Other than Isak, I think Burmo's my second favourite.
Yeah, I think Nwaneri is a really good pick, though. Generally, I just said someone just said to me, if you were to replace Palmer, then Dean, who would you pick? I said, honestly, if I was brave enough, I think I'd rather have Nwaneri this week than Cole Palmer. But I'm not going to do it. But I'd love to be brave enough to transfer out Palmer and get Nwaneri, and I think he'll do really well this weekend. Would you move Slot to Glasner for a hit?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely no chance.
Start one of Robinson, Trent, and Guardiola.
Robbo, be brave. Be brave. Go, Robbo. I was cursing you two when Trent scored the other day, by the way.
Yeah, I bet you were. And deflected as well.
There's nothing I hate more in football than Trent Alexander-Arnold goals. Cannot wait for that bloke to join Real Madrid, I've got to say.
Cunha or Dango to bench Trent? I'd go Cunha, I think, for the longer term play.
Yeah, fair enough. Who to get in for India? Who did you replace him with, big man? What did you do in the end?
Still got him.
Well, I still have him.
Oh, you still have him? Are you? Oh,
yes, on my bench. That's the issue with my team. I have João Pedro and India.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. So who would you get in if you were to? This is probably more relevant than you is for me.
I think if you can afford to buy, I would go for Cunha, and if you can't, just go for Beto.
Yeah, I think that's a better bet on. No free hit chip strategy. What does that mean?
If you've not got a free hit, what should you do?
Right.
Probably still dead end in 29 and wildcard 30-31. I think that's what I'd be doing with no free hit. We don't know what the blank looks like in 34 yet. So
if I do a manager transfer with one free transfer, would you guys suggest taking a -4 to get Cunha for Gakpo, or just play Bruno? Play Bruno. I don't think it's worth taking a -4 in that case.
Yeah, I agree. Captain Salah and Burma. I mean, I could have this dilemma personally, couldn't I? Because I've got both of these players. I'm playing safe this week, just because it's a very dangerous week for me. I could get really caught out this week if I'm try to be too clever. So I'm just captaining Salah just so I don't lose too much momentum. So do that. But if you've got a chance to take a risk, then Burma's a pretty good one.
Would you both say the best alternative Salah captaincy option is Isak, or would you say Mbermo? Like, where do you or anyone else? If you were going against Salah, where would you both go?
I personally would go Isak, but I understand the Mbermo call.
Big man?
Mbermo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Who'd start? Hallman, Oz, Robinson, Milenkovic, and Gabriel. Oh, God. The defender benchings are so hard. I'd be tempted to bench Robinson. I think Palace score. And I'd probably actually bench Milenkovic, which I don't like saying because he's been amazing. But I expect Newcastle to win that football match.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Start Pedro or transfer to Cunha for a hit. That's quite tough. Don't really like hits, but also don't really like Pedro anymore. So I'd say go for it, be brave, take the hit and get to Cunha.
Bench Rodgers or Beto? I think I'd bench Rodgers from the two.
Yeah, I think I would as well, actually.
Beto would easily get something against Man United.
Yeah.
On Benz as well.
He's flying.
These days, you don't bench attackers against Man United.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. Good question. Keep them coming, guys.
Yeah.
Better entry point, Welbeck or Cunha? Cunha. Still Cunha. I know Welbeck's got the better fixture, but still Cunha.
Yeah. Is it worth keeping Emery if you only have one free transfer with 5 blankers for game week 29? I said to you earlier to keep Emery, didn't I? So I think, I think Emery's fine to keep going with on this chip. If you've already got Emery, I actually think changing him is not silly, but like it's definitely a gamble.
Eric's question is: so boss light of 180, Clivert, Untango, and Mbomo, not using free hit in 29. I think I would go with Mbomo from those.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's probably all we got time for. I mean, closing. Thanks for your questions, guys. Just want closing thoughts from you both. And guys, if you are thinking I've still got questions, I am doing an early deadline stream on my channel as well. So it was meant to start a minute ago. As soon as this is done in 2 minutes' time, I'll jump on and do my early deadline stream as well. So I'll try and answer more questions. But final thoughts, Dean, from you, and then Big Man, I'll come to you in terms of big decisions you think you will be making.
I wish I was going to be brave and leave Palmer on the bench and things like that. But I'm going to play it safe. As I say, I just want to try to keep rank this week. Like, obviously, I've been through it these last 3 weeks without the assistant manager chip, and I'm trying not to lose too much ground. And I'm just about hanging in there. So, yeah, I think it's a week where I just need to be sensible and try to play the popular game rather than try to be different.
And Big Man, for you?
I think I'll captain Salah. I'm still torn on what I do, who I buy. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a late call for me this week.
Yeah,
it certainly is. To do.
Love that. Dean, give us one final reminder to hit those buttons on the way out.
Yeah, please do, people. Only if you've liked it. Of course, if you haven't liked it, you don't have to hit like. If you have liked it, we'd love to see the thumbs up pushed as we try to get towards that 10K subscriber number. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching today. Really appreciate it. And a special shout out to everyone that gave us super chats today. Like, there was some really decent amounts of money put in there today. So thank you very much, people. You know, we don't ask for that, but we really do appreciate it when it comes.
Love that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I've just dropped a link in the chat if you want to come and continue the conversation. My YouTube vid will start in about 10 seconds time. So, guys, see you guys.
Have a good one. See you later, mate.
See you. Bye-bye.